Welcome to our Place 3 Georgetown ISD candidates. My name is Pam Mitchell. I'm the president of the Williamson County League of Women Voters. And we are hosting this candidate forum. Our organization is a nonpartisan organization, and we are focused on providing education to voters on how to vote, how to register to vote, when to vote, but not who to vote for. What we do on that front is make sure that we provide objective information about candidates or policies, positions, et cetera, so that we have an informed votership, because we feel like that will end in the best result. So today I'll be asking you a number of questions that are coming from our audience. We do have a reviewer that's part of the league discipline to make sure we remain nonpartisan and unbiased. So we want to make sure the questions don't inherently favor one candidate over another. If the participants don't see their question asked as they've submitted, just know it's because we want to make sure it remains really fair for everybody. So we did a little draw, and Eric is going to be starting with the 3 minutes of an opening statement. And then we will have Tanya and then Cody, and we'll go in that order throughout the evening. So without further ado, I will ask Eric to give his opening statement.
Awesome. Thank you, Pam, for having me. Looking forward to this time with you. Hi, let's see, my name's Eric Marine, newcomer to Georgetown. Got here back in July. My wife and I came from Houston with a small stint in Austin. We're Texans, been part of the school systems, the school districts, mostly in Houston, but I've always been involved in education since I was a young kid. In fact, I've been a tutor throughout all my life, even starting when I was in elementary school. I knew I had a gift of tutoring, and it's just been part of my DNA. So I really enjoy the education system. I have passion for it. I've been a university lecturer, and also I've been sat on boards for charter schools. So I've been involved in education for many decades, in fact. I'm also professionally, I was a partner for the largest consulting company in the world. So from that, I gained building relationships, how to work with people with diverse views and bring them together to solve problems. I'm also a CFO, so I know about budgets and I know how to work with scarce resources. So all these attributes, all these experiences are things that I bring to the table. And no least, just proud to be a new Georgetown resident. Again, as I said, I got here in July, and really making a push to be involved in education because it is a passion, is a right place for me. So I hope you will take time to hear some of the perspectives I have, and look forward to meeting you if we have that chance.
Great, thank you, Eric. Tanya, 3 minutes.
Hi, everyone. Anyone who's here listening in on what we have to say tonight, thank you so much. Being an educated voter is so critical, and there's 3, I think, phenomenal people to listen to this evening. So thank you for taking the time. So my name's Tanya Easton. I currently have a 14-year-old daughter who attends Tippett Middle School and will be heading to Eastview next year. I have a 24 and a 23-year-old. My 23-year-old just graduated Texas State in August. Yay, Bobcats. I'm PTA president at Tippett Middle School for the last 2.5 years. I've been on council PTA. I've been active in PTA leadership for, 15 years now. I have a degree in child and adolescent studies and a minor in human services. And I've been passionate about kids since I was a kid. I do believe schools saved me. They gave me an opportunity to have hope for the future. And I saw an avenue through schools to have control over a part of my life. So I would go to school and I joined student council, and I just realized you can make positive impact and it would affect others, and you didn't have to focus on the stuff I was going through. So I've always been really passionate about the school systems. I've been a site supervisor at a child development center. I currently am a community educator at the Williamson County Children's Advocacy Center, and I get to facilitate a wonderful parenting program called Circle Security, which has given me the opportunity to meet such wonderful people in the community and offer ways to build a stronger relationship with their kids. But more importantly, I've learned from them on things that our parents are facing right now with their kids during the pandemic. So that's been a reason that led me to want to have a bigger impact in our school district. I've partnered with the school district on multiple initiatives, community health, mental health night. We put together a parenting group at a local coffee shop to bring parents together. I love connecting people. I think that we live in a completely phenomenal community, and I'd love to help bridge the gap between the district and the community. I'm excited to earn your vote tonight with answering all the questions that you have ready for us. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to clarify if I put this up, it means you have 30 seconds left. So you don't have to cut yourself off. If I put the yellow up, I'm going to cut you off soon. So Cody, 3 minutes.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having us on. Tanya and Eric, thank you guys for running as well. I know it takes a lot of effort and a lot of time away from the family. It shows you guys are committed. So I came across Georgetown back in 2003 when I was hired by Johnny Gant to be a sales analyst for one of his aviation companies. Moved here in 2008, and during that time, I found out that this is exactly where I wanted to raise my family. I've got a 3rd grader at Ford and a 6th grader at Benold. I've been married for 16 years as of 2 weeks ago, and I owe my wife actually a vacation because I was actually out campaigning the night of our anniversary. So I'll be owing her one of those. But when I look at my son who's in 3rd grade, and I look at, he missed 1st grade because of COVID and half of 2nd grade because of COVID as well. And I see where he is right now with his reading and his learning. And I know how blessed, our family is. We were able to have my wife at home and to have her teach him during all of that. And I still see the learning loss in him. What bothers me so much is the kids that may have not had that opportunity to have someone at home during that time. I want to be able to bridge those gaps, get our kids in our community back to where they should be, and to catch them all up. I also look at the growth of Georgetown. Right now, we're looking at 23 multi-billion-dollar businesses coming to Williamson County in the next 6 to 7 years. We are about to grow exponentially. Conservatively, they're saying we're going to go from 11,000 students to 21,000 students in the next 10 years. And those are astronomical numbers. We're going to have to be able to grow, pivot. We're going to have to hire teachers. I think we need people with business experience in there for sure. We have Mesquite Creek Outfitters and the Golden Rule down on the square. Started both of those. One was Mesquite Creek. We started that back in 2016. And then we waited for a good pandemic to start the restaurant. And but what I love about that so much is we've gotten to know the community and fallen more in love with this community. And so I want to just be out there to continue supporting in this aspect. I want this to be a place to where my kids want to come back and have kids someday. And the only way to do that is to get on the inside and get us back onto academic excellence.
Great. So the first question, Tanya, we'll start with you, then Cody, then Eric, and Tanya, you'll have 2 minutes, and then Cody and Eric will each have a minute. Trustees are elected to represent all students. Taking that into account, how do you see your role as a trustee in representing and ensuring that you support all students who are in special programs at various levels?
Well, I love that question because, my slogan is advocate for all learners. And I take that very seriously. It's not just a slogan, it is a way of life for me. I'm wildly passionate about our students that are in special education. I think that equity is extremely important, making sure that all learners have the resources that they need. to be able to perform at their highest potential. I want to make sure that our students that are in our gifted and talented programs are challenged. And that's one thing that I have heard from parents that they're saying, you know, I don't feel like my kid's getting what they need in that program. So that would be something as a trustee I would definitely want to hone in on, because unfortunately I've talked to a few good families who have taken their kids out of GISD to schools that are more rigorous, and that's just not acceptable. Our community is phenomenal, and our city is wonderful. We need to have a school district that is hitting all the needs, from the kids who need the additional resources to be challenged and the kiddos that need the supplemental help and additional resources who may have some learning gaps. So that is something I'm wildly passionate about. I want to listen to parents. That's first and foremost. I know we can have a lot of processes in place and implement certain things, but who knows their children better than anybody is their parents. So as trustee, I would definitely be accepting the feedback and asking the superintendent, how can we remediate those issues that are coming to me as a trustee?
Okay, you're at time. Cody, a minute.
You know, I think she nailed it there at the end with communication. Communication is the key to a lot of this, and it's communication across the board, all the way from the students to the parents to the teachers up through administration. And as long as we have clear paths of communication on where we are and how we want to get there, we're going to be able to obtain that for sure. I equate it to okay, so we have a charity called Veteran Outdoors, and if I take a double leg amputee and a single arm amputee, and we're going to go climb a mountain, they can both do it if they're provided the correct tools. And it's some of our jobs, with the help of theirs, to identify those tools and then to provide them for them so that they can all reach the summit. And that's what I want to do for all of our kids. You know, like I said, I've seen the learning loss of my son. I've seen it in our friends' kids. And I want to make sure that all kids are able to get to where they need to be.
Great, thank you. Eric, 1 minute.
Yeah, great question. And I, just like Tanya, I have a particular passion around this topic as well. When I was in Houston, I led a group around educating all kids with capital A, capital L, capital L. That's a very broad net. That means those who are falling through the net, which in my experience is, at least in the Houston area, has typically been Hispanic and people of color. And so for me, it's important that we measure the successes of these at-risk type of children, these segments of society, to make sure they're getting all the things that their peers are getting, to make sure that they're succeeding the way their peers might be succeeding. And wherever there are any gaps, to hone in and figure out why there are learning difficulties, why we're having issues in certain areas. So that's where I would kind of coalesce and work with teachers and work with principals and work with parents and work with the administration to come to a solution for that.
Great, thank you. Cody, this next question is to you. You'll have 2 minutes for it. The district has said they want a community-based accountability system. What are your thoughts on that?
Sorry, I was muted there. No, I think that's absolutely terrific. And, you know, when you look at our businesses that we have, it's falls right in line with that. You know, we have the hostess that sits at the front door of the Golden Rule, and she sees a lot of the stuff that we don't. And what we do is we make sure that her voice is heard and that she's appreciated and that her input is regarded as high as everyone else in there, including the general managers. And so when we work as a team and we start implementing these and we work across the board through better communication, I think that's really how we're going to get there. There are so many different things that we can look at and start seeing the successes that we are building towards. And just like in a business, we're not looking at one metric that says whether or not we're successful. We don't look at our bank account and say, well, it's in the positive, we must be successful, therefore we don't need to look at anything else. No. We look at retention, we look at happiness, then we look at so many different metrics from the past, the present, and then we look at projections for the future in order to guide us in the right path. And that sets the tone for the entire company.
Okay, Eric, a minute on community-based accountability.
Yeah, I think it's important that we have community-based accountability. And for me, what that means is that you're establishing relationships across the board with teachers, with parents, with principals, with administrators, with in particular with the teachers. So there's a lot of constituents that should be involved and are involved in making sure that we have the right, we're doing the right things for our children. And so bringing those people together and listening and coming together and coming up with solutions around the issues that we have, I think is highly important.
Great. And Tanya.
So I actually really like the community-based accountability system. I think if it would be properly developed and implemented with transparency and accountability, I think that it would be an earned trust opportunity for our school district to show that with STAR being the very foundation of the accountability system and growing the additional metrics that are the committee would create. It's not the district creating, it's the committee creating, and saying these are the other measures that we want to show that we're successful, or the growth areas that we have as a district. I think it would be really helpful. I think it's important, though, with that system that we provide continual updates, and it's not just at the end of the year report, which I do love that report. I think that every single person in the city should get it, not just parents who are in the district, but I know that there's a lot of taxpayers out there who care about our district and want to know and be prideful of it. I think that if we have that system, it will give us opportunities to target our resources, specifically community engagement opportunities with mentoring and volunteering.
Right. The next question is for you, Eric. What are the 1 to 3 things that are going well for GISD and the 1 to 3 things that are not?
Well, the 1 to 3 things that aren't going well are teachers are leaving, or as in other ISDs. That's an issue for us. Another issue that we have is obviously the campus grades that we're getting. They're not the best, and some of them are at the bottom of the barrel. The things that are going for us is that there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of good things that are being done by the administration to prepare our children for growth in leadership and accountability and responsiveness, industriousness. And those are all important. There's also some, the community itself is passionate about wanting to do good. And the question, or the thing is that you have to figure out what that good is, because people have different opinions. But the idea is to bring that, again, back to your previous question about community-based, bringing people together and laying out a future that we can coalesce around us for the improvement of our children. You're on mute.
Tanya, what's going well, not going well?
What is going well is our career, college, and military readiness program is thriving. We have lots of different avenues for students to explore who they are, what they like and don't like, and I love that. I think our fine arts departments are thriving as well. And I think that when it comes to projections and buildings, I think that we're doing really great in planning for that. The things that I think we could improve in as a district are first and foremost, our academics are not rigorous enough. I think that we need to really focus in on how to improve our test scores, because to me, they're not just scores, they equate to the learning that's happening in a classroom. I think that we also need to strengthen our utilization of community, whether it comes to mentoring or enriching activities that can circle around what our teachers are already providing. And I think I'm over time, so I don't want to be disrespectful. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Cody?
Yes, so I'll probably repeat some of the same things, but some of the stuff we're doing well. One thing that you guys didn't mention was getting our kids back in school safely. I think that's going to have such an emotional and social impact on the kids for the future. I think that was absolutely huge. I also love how we provide the correct tools for these kids, especially if you look through the pandemic and through COVID, providing them with computers and then with Wi-Fi, and just making sure that they had the tools so they could continue to learn. Fiscal responsibility is something that we do really, really well as a school. I'm gonna repeat something here though, but teacher retention. I think that's so important that we retain these wonderful teachers that we have in our community. Early literacy, we're gonna have to figure out how to catch these kids up. I think we're starting that motion, and I think we're doing well with it. But it's something we're gonna have to take a hard look at. And then communication. I keep going back to that, but as a business leader, I see communication in a way that it affects my business so much, all the way from the bottom to the top. And I think that we can continue working on that as well to make sure that people feel that you're providing an answer that they can understand, and that they're heard as well.
Okay. You got more time too, because I wasn't paying attention. All right. Next question, Tanya, you'll have 2 minutes. Where's my question here? Since the schools that are failing, at least as measured by the state, since we have schools, pardon me, that are failing, at least what's measured by the state, please make a case for sticking with the learner profile and waiting for the scores to improve and or adjusting the approach.
So my daughter goes to Tippett, which currently has a grade that is an F. And I like the learner profile. I like the attributes that our students can have if they had all the things that the learner profile is asking for. I equate the learner profile to kind of the dessert at the end of a meal. It's delicious, it's rich and yummy, but it's not sustainable. To me, the meat and potatoes come from foundational academics, and you then have the dessert after you eat a healthy meal, which is rigorous curriculum with effective instruction, with high achieving students academically. So I think that you can weave in the learner profile, but I don't think that it should be overemphasized, especially when teachers potentially are not feeling supported and having the resources that they need, high quality instructional resources. And I want to make sure that they're getting what they need to be most effective in the classroom. So if we're only focusing on the learner profile, then I don't think that's effective, but I do like it after we focus on high foundational academics being provided.
Great. Cody, a minute on learner profile.
Absolutely. Now I'll kind of go through that real quick. A lot of people may or may not know this, but that's where we communicate, collaborate. It's critical thinking. It's creating and innovating, obtaining knowledge through inquiry and exploration, adapts and perseveres, develops self-knowledge and personal responsibility, and it builds and models respectful relationships. And I think that we have so many different programs that you see the benefit. I think Tanya actually brought it up earlier, the CCMRs, College Career Military Readiness. And for someone like myself, when I take a look at our kids and I see kids graduating, ready to go with one of these 3 different items, whether they're ready for to go straight into the military, or maybe they're going to be a welder. We are able to focus on that and actually promote it and be happy about it and encourage it. Every kid's path isn't necessarily college, and it's not necessarily welding. And when we can identify that and let them explore it a little bit more, I think it helps us all.
Okay. And Eric?
I love the learner profile. Tanya and I seem to be, all of us actually seem to be aligned on this. It's a question about priorities. It's the question about, do you give one thing up for another? I don't think you do give up the learner profile. I think you stick with it. However, but not at the expense of just the academic scholastic performance. Learner profile to me is Tanya used the word gravy. It is, but it's so important in the growth of a child and to prepare that child for the world. in a very sincere and very strong way. So I'm totally supportive of it. But maybe it's done after school. Maybe we do it in a different way. But it's extremely important. I wouldn't give up on it. But again, I think you have to focus first on let's getting these grades of these campuses back up and interweave it with the learner profile.
Great. Thank you. Cody, the next question to you, and you'll have 2 minutes for this. What perspectives may the current board be missing? And how can those perspectives be gained by a broader understanding of the needs of our district in support of the broader needs of our district?
Yeah, so I think that, one thing that we can do well, and I was watching Place 2 a while ago, and this was mentioned, was, we can explore some board meetings outside of the Hammerlin Center, which I think would really open up some doors, show involvement, with a little bit more of the schools, and have a little bit more open discussion across the board, if you will. It goes back to the communication that I've mentioned multiple times now, but to make sure that everyone's appreciated and heard. And when you look at the frontline workers, those are the ones that are out there every single day, and they're going to know even better what we need to do, what we're doing well, but also what we can improve at. And then we sit down and we have discussions about that, and then we implement them.
Eric, a minute.
Yeah, I agree with Cody. I think it's important that we find ways to come together in addressing issues. And what I've heard and what I've seen is just kind of the inability to get people to come together. They take positions that are opposite. And so when you have that kind of issue brewing in any group, the idea is to bring those people that may have those opposite positions, bring them together, and come to some sort of middle ground, and then bring that back to the broader group. But communication is extremely important with teachers, with the administration staff, the whole team.
Great. And Tanya.
So I'm going to ask you to repeat the question because their two responses threw me off because I feel like I heard something different. So I just want to make sure that I got it.
Let me find my question again.
Okay.
Wait, I got it here. Wait, somewhere.
Not that your guys' responses weren't great, but I just want to make sure I'm not way far off here.
So these are the perspectives. Wait, I'm still having trouble finding my question here.
Sorry, Pam.
Oh, that's all right. I was like moving ahead. And these are what perspectives, I can't find it, but I'm going to pretend I remember it. What perspectives do you think are missing that would be valuable to have on the board? And there was another part to it. I can't believe I can't find it.
I could just roll with that one. It's okay. I don't want to take
Start
up
there,
too
and
many.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine. So the perspectives that are missing on the board currently that I think that I would represent is being really community engagement focused, and having the need for transparent communication being a real strong priority for trustees, making sure that trustees are relatable, that they are going out in the community and listening to their constituents, because that's who we represent. It's not my personal agendas, but it's the agendas and the desires of the people who are in the community in GISD. I think that a diverse perspective is missing, and I'm not running on being diverse, but I do represent that. And we do have a lot of students who are minorities. And so I think that would be really nice to have on the board.
Great, thanks. I found it. All right, so the next question, Eric, 2 minutes to you. This has to do with teachers. So nationally, teachers are leaving the profession in great numbers. What do you think GISD should do to keep our current teachers and attract new teachers to the district?
Yeah, that's actually my first priority. Is I want to make sure that teachers are well compensated, that they're fairly compensated, and much of it. So two things that I see why teachers are leaving: compensation or low compensation is one of them, but also a lot of regulations. So the state doesn't make it easy to be a teacher, and the classrooms are just more difficult. So I very much support and would, one of the first in the first 100 days, we would want to make sure that we analyze and see how we can bring more money to teachers. I know that the other districts around us, Austin and others, are doing just that because people are leaving. So people are getting bonuses to retain the best teachers, et cetera, et cetera. We need to do those kinds of things in this district. And that would be a focus area of mine. You cannot have a successful scholastic system if you don't have well compensated teachers who love to come in and do the work that they do, but get compensated for them. It's not easy to be a teacher. And I would want to make sure that I support teachers and making sure they get what they deserve.
Great. Then Tanya, 1 minute.
So I agree with Eric. I think compensation is extremely important. Everybody likes to get paid, and especially with gas almost $4, we don't want to talk about that. We need to make sure that our teachers are able to provide for their families. I also really want to focus in on, I always say teachers don't sign up to be rich, but we want to make sure that they are valued through compensation. We want to make sure that we're providing a positive culture by listening to them and hearing in a safe space what they need, and making sure that we're using that feedback to drive our goals at the board level. I want to provide them with the instructional support that they need and behavioral support that they need so that they are the most impactful and effective that they can be in the classroom. I want to ensure that when we're asking them to take time out of the classroom, that professional learning is useful and it's something that they truly do want to take. I think that they need to have clear pathways for growth and advancement and develop their leadership and technical skills, and make sure that we're a desirable district.
Right, we're out of time. I was almost going to jump in. All right, and then Cody, 1 minute on teachers.
One thing is, I mean, they've been under so much stress over the past couple of years, and I just want to say hats off to them for the work that they've done. And now that we're on a more consistent basis, what I'd really love to do is just scour the budget for more money for them. And one way we can do that is let's start looking at killing outdated programs we're not using anymore. But also let's increase some stipends for extra duties. Let's just be honest. Their workday is not just, 9 to 5 or 9 to 3 or 9 to 4 or 8 to 4. They do a lot of extra duties before and after school. And I think it's time to reward them for that. I also would love to look at a little bit better retention bonuses, if you would. I think that's super important is to keep these there, because everyone knows training is one of the most expensive aspects to any job. And if we can keep the great ones that we already have here and to show them that they're heard and appreciated, I think that goes a long, long way.
All right, next question. Tanya, you'll have 2 minutes on this if you need it. And the question has to do with school safety. So my 9th grader is asking if the school board can address vandalism on campus. And if so, how are they going to address this issue?
So I love that someone had brought up that their student had concerns. So first and foremost, trustees aren't in the school, so we don't know exactly what's going on. So we count on feedback. And I think that it's really important to listen to students, engage them, and help them or have them be a part of the collaboration and problem solving. It's really amazing. If you ask a student how to come up with a solution, they really could help with that. It makes me think of the young man who showed up a couple of board meetings ago and talked about bathrooms being closed. He not only said that it was a problem, but he came up with solutions in those 3 minutes. And I was very impressed with that. We have school resource officers that are in GISD. I just actually held a school resource night to honor them, have them provide education and resources to our community. And I think that we should have more of those. We should be engaging our resource officers and asking them for additional information. But we've got other organizations in our community, like Life Steps Council and the Advocacy Center, that can help us solve these issues. So it's not just us trustees, but really using the community to problem solve, but making safety an absolute priority. We want every child, whether they're being bullied or it's vandalism or drug use or vaping, we want to address those issues head on and be transparent in the issues that we are facing.
Thank you. Cody, 1 minute on school safety.
For sure. Tanya, that was a great answer. That was absolutely wonderful. You know, I agree with you. We need to talk to kids, parents, teachers, the cops. The SRO program is phenomenal. My kids absolutely adore them and love them. They feel like they're not only there to protect them, but that they're a friend as well. I would love to get back into what they call the watchdog program. I don't know if you guys have been here long enough to remember that, but that was, you know, volunteers back on campus. Those were parents that were on campus pre-COVID, and it was so engaging, not only for the kids and the teachers, but also for the parents. You know, I really enjoyed those programs. You know, and then one of the last things would be just to listen. You know, when there's problems, like, let's listen to the solutions. Let's listen to the kids. As Tanya mentioned, I was at that same meeting when a gentleman came in and was talking about the bathroom being locked. And like she said, he had a solution to it. And from my understanding, it's actually been solved. You know, that's what I love to see, is whenever it's communicated, it goes to the right channels and it's taken care of.
And Eric?
Wonderful answers on both of you guys. The only thing I would add to it is that instead of passively waiting for people to acknowledge certain issues, to highlight certain issues, I would actively engage the campuses, actively engage the communities. Back to the community engagement question you had earlier. You through dialogue, you learn things, and so working with teachers and students even, and understanding what those safety issues are. And then obviously once you've uncovered some of the problems, then you just go around and do the things you need to do to fix them. But it would be a collaborative effort, active collaborative effort is how I would engage that.
Great. All right, and I think this is going to be our last question because we're getting close on time. And Cody, we'll start with you with 2 minutes. This has to do with growth. Georgetown is growing. Do you think that we are prepared, that Georgetown ISD is prepared for the growth that's coming? And if not, what are some of the things that you would do in your trustee position to support preparing GISD for the folks, the kids?
Yes, that's a fantastic question. We have put in a lot of work and studies and data points to see where we're going and how we're going to get there. We've done projections to show us what schools are going to be affected first. And we've been very proactive in growing those schools and finding other locations to start building out, because we know it's coming. As I mentioned earlier, we have 23 multi-billion-dollar facilities, and with that is going to be a lot of people. We're looking at, going from 11,000 students to 21,000 students conservatively in the next 10 years. And what we're going to have to look at is we're going to have to look at budgets. We're going to have to look at how do we attract more teachers. If you think about real estate right now, how do we entice a first-year amazing teacher who's going to be here forever? How do we get them to move here when they can't afford it? We've got to start thinking about these kind of things, not only as a school board, as a community and as a parent. We've got to start figuring out how we're going to attract this talent. But yes, I think when you have business growth as we have over the past few years, as quickly as we have, you learn to adapt and to grow and to look at budgets, and you start analyzing where to pull money from and where to put it to make sure it's allocated properly for future growth. And as we're working with the community and we continue these studies, I think that we're going to be in a great spot, and we're going to be prepared for this growth. That's inevitably coming, whether our community wants it or not. So we might as well be the tip of the spear, get in there, roll up our sleeves, and help with it.
Great, Eric, 1 minute for growth prep.
As a previous CFO for $1 billion corporation, budget is exactly where I go to in addressing your question. And it's not just the cost, because the budget's going to increase because you have new costs associated with it, including better teacher pay, as we were talking about earlier. what you have to sustain the growth that we're having. I agree with Cody. But it's also the new revenues, new people like me moving into the district is bringing in new revenues. So it's making sure that we prioritize those revenues to the right programs, to the schools, building new schools, but again, bringing in new teachers to make sure that our district is prepared for teaching the new influx of kids that will be coming.
Great. And Tanya?
I think the gentleman had mentioned teachers, and I think that that's absolutely critical in the growth. And so being really intentional on retention and recruitment is going to be a vital variable to consider moving forward. I think the demographers reports to the district, they have used them to really do well on like holding down the land and different buildings. And I think that's great. The part that I'm really concerned about is academic performance. If we are currently a little under 12,000 and we're struggling with our academics, what is that going to look like at 20,000 if we haven't built the processes and the strategies and not have a high curriculum, or excuse me, a strong curriculum with resources that the teachers need? So we've got to figure it out here, because the growth will only highlight our areas that we're not doing well in.
I'm going to ask a 30-second follow-up question, and Cody, I'll start with you on this. And my follow-up question is, and there's one, so just 30 seconds. What question do you feel is not being asked at the board that you currently asked of the board, that if you were elected, you would ask the board to address? One question.
I would say the divisiveness. I've seen. Let's just put it out there. I mean, it seems to be 4-3, and I think that whenever we look at this, the way we need to look at this is we're all in this for one reason, and that's to build better academic success for our kids. And when we all have the right goal in mind and we all work together, I think that's what we really need to do. So what I would do is really encourage better communication across the board and to be an advocate for that. Even meeting outside of board time, to get to know each other on a different level, so I can know where their heart is, so I can understand where their mind is.
Okay. And then where was I? Eric, 30 seconds.
Yeah, the first thing I'd ask is, what have we done? What are we doing for teacher pay? What programs or what thoughts, right? And have they been successful? Have they not been successful? And why not? So I'd want to understand that, so that if I were, again, the first 100 days, I'd want to make sure that we got a program in place to raise teacher pay and to give them bonuses for retention, et cetera. But I'd like to know what's been done so far.
Okay, and Tanya?
My question would be, why are we afraid of data? I'm a parent, I'm a PTA leader. I've asked for it. I've heard other people ask for it. It's like pulling teeth. And I think that we need to be data driven. I think that all decisions should move forward with facts. And I know how it feels as a stakeholder to not have that transparency. I think that there's a disconnect between what's happening at central office and what parents and students are experiencing, and as well as teachers. And so I would say, hey, let's rip the Band-Aid off and let's talk about data.
Okay. Thank you for that. So we're on to closing statements, and we're back at the top of our list. So Eric, 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Yeah, thank you. Again, the voters appreciate the opportunity to talk about some of the issues and to allow me to express some thoughts around those. I'm new to Georgetown, and that comes at a disadvantage. Tanya and Cody obviously know a lot what's going on in the space. They've got children in the space. They've been around and understand the issues to deep levels. But I know that throughout my life, I've been able to solve issues. I've been able to bring parties together that might not want to come together. I've been able to address issues. I've been able to create budgets. As an entrepreneur, I've had 2 different businesses, so I know what it takes how to use scarce resources to really succeed in different areas. So those are the things I bring to the table. And I would hope that there would be an opportunity, again, as I started at the beginning, to meet with you and talk to you personally about the issues at hand. And you've got a good listener on this guy here. Because if you can't listen and try to understand what people are saying, it's hard to come to a bridge. And so that's one of the strengths I have, is to be that good listener, to be that stepping stone. We're bringing people together and to solve problems. So I'd appreciate your vote. And again, thank you for the opportunity.
Great, thank you. Tanya, you're next.
Yep. If anybody knows me, they know my deep passion for students, for community, for teachers. It's just who I am. This is not what I'm doing. This is just the next step in my advocacy and love for schools. I think that I bring leadership. I think that I bring a student-centered focus. I love people. Like Eric, I'm a good listener. I work well with others, and I enjoy the opportunity to listen to diverse perspectives to challenge my own. And I'm not stubborn in my thinking, although my husband may say different. That I can be reasonable, and I'm always going to make sure that the decisions I make are not my agenda, but always going to benefit our students and our teachers and our families. I want to represent the community. I want there to be open lines of communication, and I believe that I could be that trustee. I partnered with the district, so I've seen a lot of the growth areas. So the learning curve is not going to be very high for me. I'm going to be ready to hit that ground running. And kind of the state of the district, we need that. We need change, and we need it right now. And we don't have time to mess around. I hope that I've earned everyone's vote tonight. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And Cody, 2 minutes.
Absolutely. So I've been deeply engaged in our community since 2008. Golly, it's been a while. But through GISD and also nonprofits and veterans organizations, youth sports, I own and operate a couple of different businesses and have a thorough understanding of both community values as well as the vision of the district. I think building trust, being a parent on campuses and engaging in the community, and having real relationships with people goes a long, long way. One thing we do at our businesses as well is we hire the right people, and then we let them shine and we let them do their jobs. We don't micromanage, and some of our focuses, I believe, need to be parents' involvement at a board level as well as, the school level. Early literacy, I really want to focus on early literacy. Continue seeking academic excellence through all different avenues. Fiscal responsibility, and I'm going to follow it up with Eric's favorite as well, is teacher retention. Let's keep the great ones. But first and foremost, after visiting with all of you guys, I feel good about our kids' future. I really do. And I know that a lot of people haven't said that in the past couple of years, unfortunately, because we're focused on so many different things. And COVID's been crazy for everyone across the board. It really has, but it's time to focus forward. I'm so tired of using that as an excuse of this or that. And I'm ready to start seeing true change, true community working together. And we're going to achieve the goals that we're setting out to do. I believe that. And so I'm really proud to be a part of this. And I cannot thank you guys enough.
So that concludes the forum. I would recognize first that all the questions that were asked, we did not even come close to answering them. I'm going to send them out to all of you. So if you have different venues you want to address some of the ones we didn't get to, feel free to. So I'll send that to you guys separately, as well as the link to this video. But I wanted to thank all of our attendees and their questions and participation. It was really extraordinary that we kept close to 55 or 60 for 3 hours for each of the places. And I want to very specifically thank the three of you, not only for participating tonight, but for participating at all. I think that, my challenge to you is one of you will prevail. And I think we've got great choices ahead of us. I hope that those that don't prevail stay involved, because I think that we would benefit from your wisdom and insight. So thank you for your time and sharing it tonight. So with
Thank
that, I will conclude our video and